Hi, my name is Lawrence, and I love Olympic weightlifting. Usually I'm here, in the desert wonderland of Las Vegas, Nevada, Sin City as they call it. Not really so much on the strip though. I'm a pretty active guy, so usually I'm out and about doing something athletic, but not so much like this guy. This guy's on another level. Usually I'm here, at Las Vegas Barbell, picking some things up, putting some things down, throwing some weight over my head. I would say that this is my natural habitat. But recently, I decided to get away for a little bit. That's right, I bought a ticket and hopped on a plane. Next destination, the beautiful country of the Philippines. But first, let me bore you with this montage of what I've been doing here. Rushing water down there. So cool. And look at this view. Let's go. Hey, so I just got this barbell. It was like $70, and it's actually, for what it is, pretty decent. I'm gonna be able to get a lot of training done. Bought all these weights. That's on my way to getting home. After buying a barbell and some weights, we loaded up the car and started driving home. The guy in the tricycle is actually my dad, and everyone here in the car is family. And I wasn't able to buy a squat rack at the mall, so my dad went ahead and started making it himself. He's very handy in many ways, and without him, I wouldn't be able to push my training as hard as I have. Now, before getting into the pros and cons of training in the Philippines, I wanted to show you guys my first training session here. The area in which I'm doing the majority of my training is Malolos, Bulacan, which is about an hour drive away from Metro Manila. Here I am just outside the house doing some bar warm-ups. My intention is to see how heavy I can lift after having just traveled halfway across the world. But if you keep watching, you'll see why I wasn't actually able to finish my first training session. From this angle, you could see that the neighborhood kids were excited to spectate, learn, and lift. I am 100% positive that these kids have never in their lives seen someone do a snatch and clean and jerk in person before, which is probably why so many kids came over to watch. This brings me to my first point. We are going to start with the cons of training Olympic weightlifting here in the Philippines. Con number 1. Olympic weightlifting is not popular in the Philippines. Asian countries such as China may be dominant in Olympic weightlifting, but popularity in the sport has not spread across all of Asia. This is to include the Philippines. I am in the gym training frequently, almost every day, and I have yet to come across another weightlifter. The only time I came across another Olympic weightlifter is when I competed in Heidi Diaz's Olympic weightlifting competition, which obviously doesn't count. I would say the only thing really pushing competitiveness and popularity in the sport here in the Philippines is Heidi Diaz's weightlifting team and the PEP Project weightlifting team. To my knowledge, those are the only two teams who are producing international talent. There's not really a centralized system of elite weightlifting happening in the Philippines. The rare, unique, strong, and talented weightlifters are somewhat scattered around the Philippines, and unfortunately, they are not near me. Con number 2. It's hard to find a gym that caters to weightlifters. In my area, there are no weightlifting gyms, period. Honestly, to my knowledge, there are only 2 places here in the Philippines where you can train weightlifting with a high caliber Olympic weightlifting coach. You would have to train with the Heidi Diaz weightlifting team or PEP Project weightlifting. The next best option would be CrossFit gyms. Fortunately, there are CrossFit gyms here in the Philippines, but sadly not around me. The majority of CrossFit gyms are located around Manila, so if you are around Manila, then you'll be able to train no problem. It's not all bad. Con number 3. You definitely can't drop weights. This next point only applies if you are not training in a dedicated Olympic weightlifting gym or at a CrossFit gym. Obviously, you can drop weights there. If you are in my situation and you want to train at a gym, then you will have to train at a privately owned gym, community gym, commercial gym, or buy your own equipment. More likely than not, you will not be allowed to drop weights. I was personally told not to drop weights at the commercial gym that I go to, and I wasn't even trying to drop the weights. I just had one unlucky miss. I was honestly lowering all of my attempts down. Unfortunately for me, the gym that I go to is the only gym I could find in my area with bumper plates. So if I want to continue training there, then I must follow the rules. Hopefully, if you guys come to train in the Philippines, it will at least be at a CrossFit gym. If you are not at a high level of technical proficiency, I would not recommend training at a commercial gym. You'll probably get kicked out of the gym. The funny thing with my situation is that the employee of the gym that talked to me said I could continue training weightlifting because he could tell that I knew what I was doing. He just didn't want me to drop weights because there are a lot of kids there and they might try to copy me. Training Olympic weightlifting without an in-person coach can be dangerous, so of course I understood his concerns. Also, the equipment at the gym is limited, so if there were a bunch of kids throwing around weights without proper technique, then things would probably get damaged quickly. Con number 4, you won't have training partners. This point only applies if you're not training in an actual Olympic weightlifting gym. Let's be realistic. You're probably not going to be training with the Philippine national team. So you're not going to be able to train with people who have the same goals and intentions of hoisting as much weight overhead as possible. Even in CrossFit gyms, the average CrossFitter is not interested in training for an entire training cycle for the purposes of maxing out their snatch and clean and jerk. You might have to ride it out solo while Olympic weightlifting in the Philippines. What can I say? It's just not a popular activity here. Con number 5. Everyone will stare at you. Again, this point only applies if you're not training in an actual Olympic weightlifting gym or CrossFit gym. If you find yourself in a commercial gym in the Philippines, remember, the sport is not popular. You are the unique 145 in the gym. You will be the only one standing out if a barbell is thrown overhead. But is this really a con though? I mean, who cares? If you have social anxiety, then that's on you. I love Olympic weightlifting, and if you're out here spreading positivity for the sport, then I say do it. Let them stare. If they stare, then you should say hi and explain to them the good word of weightlifting, because the sport definitely needs it out here. Goodness, I make training out here sound terrible. Well, I have news for you. It's not horrible. That's why I'm here. Let me stop with the cons and explain some of the pros of training Olympic weightlifting in the Philippines. Pro number 1, the US dollar goes a long way in the Philippines. As of making this video, $1 is 55 Philippine pesos. Right now, I can walk up to the barbershop down the street and pay 70 pesos for a haircut, which is approximately $1.27 USD. Nowadays, I know people who are paying $100 for every haircut in the US, so that's a big difference. My gym membership for the gym I go to is 600 pesos a month, which is approximately $11 USD. My groceries for the month is about $100, which allows me to eat my projected goal of 100 grams of protein every day. I decided to buy my own weightlifting equipment, which I use at the house. I bought the barbell for $70 at the mall, but I learned I could have got the same barbell for a lot cheaper online. The online shopping is super convenient too. It's just like Amazon in the US, except it's called Lazada here. So just because it's quote unquote a third world country, don't think you can't enjoy the perks of cheap online shopping. In fact, that's how I bought my bumper plates. I got them online. Pro number 2. Cost of living is cheaper in the Philippines compared to the US. My situation is going to be a little different because I have family here, but in general, day-to-day living is cheaper. 5 gallons of water costs about $1. Transportation one way on tricycle or jeepney on average is less than $1. Of course, it always depends on where you want to go. If you want to eat at a cheap restaurant, you won't have to spend more than $7. If you want to eat unlimited Korean barbecue for 2 people, it's about $14. Rent really depends on where you want to stay, but it can be very cheap. I'll let you guys do the research on that one because it just depends. Clothing and shoes, man, that could be so cheap. In fact, I don't recommend people bring a lot of clothes with them to the Philippines. Just buy it here. It's hard to explain the cost of those things because it just depends on what you want and where you go, of course. But you can definitely buy an entire outfit, including shoes, for under 1,000 pesos or less than $20. Pro number 3, food is no problem. I hope you are coming to the Philippines on a bulking phase because the food is cheap. I already touched on it a little bit before, but the food is delicious and you won't be breaking the bank. Olympic weightlifting is a weight class sport, so a lot of the time I do have to watch what I eat. But I am currently on a strength cycle, which for me means I don't care what I eat as long as I'm getting stronger. I'm really not a particular person when it comes to the food, so I'm not hard to please, but I do eat a lot of eggs and chicken. A dozen eggs here cost about 150 pesos, which is $2.72 USD. This is about half the price of a dozen eggs in Las Vegas. A whole rotisserie chicken costs about 250 pesos, which is approximately $4.50 USD. Anytime I go out to eat with my girlfriend at my favorite restaurants, I never spend more than 1,100 pesos, so eating out for 2 people is usually less than $20 USD. So be ready to enjoy some delicious food here. Don't forget to eat some pork sinigang, chicken adobo, pork kare-kare, and last but not least, you need to eat some balut, or you are missing out. Trust me. Moving on, pro number 4. The country is beautiful and the people are so nice. I know this point isn't really something that's going to help or improve your weightlifting, but if you could travel anywhere in the world to do weightlifting, I would start here. In the intro of the video, you got a glimpse of the beautiful places I visited, so I can't really say too much more. What I will say is that the videos that I did take do not do the Philippines justice. You must see these beautiful sights in person to get a deep appreciation of how gorgeous it really is. And if you're concerned about only being able to speak English, don't worry. It is mandatory in schools here to learn English, so you will be able to navigate the country because someone will be able to speak English. Fun fact, thousands of Koreans come to the Philippines every year to study and learn English. You might not be able to get the Filipino rates or the best deals on everything, but you will be able to get around and communicate no problem. And when you do start communicating with people, you will realize how nice everyone is. You'll start getting free food, people will offer you drinks and beers, and it will be nothing but jokes and laughter. There's a reason why Filipinos are known to be the most hospitable people in the world. Why do you think so many of the world's nurses are Filipino? Think about it. Thank you so much for watching my video.